Welcome back to the YouTube channel. This is your boy SK. One love to all Africans. The disturbing guy, the shouting, the annoying boy on YouTube. Please, if today is your first time watching my video, kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel. Consider subscribe to the YouTube channel and be part of the family. We are here at Asimansum Slave Riverside. In this video, I'm going to show you where our ancestors, the slaves, took their last bath before moving to the castle. Tie their hand at the back and chain them to their neck.
When they are arriving at the castle, when it captured them and they are going to the castle.
Yes. Yeah. This is how they were chained.
Yeah.
Chained. The white man with can, maltreating them, dragging them like animals.
Yeah.
This is how they were marking them.
Yeah.
This they plug the iron inside fire.
Fire, yeah.
To get it hot, and they mark them.
Yeah.
Them, even though when they were even
bathing, they chained them. Yeah, they know they run away.
Arranged, precisely to be transported.
Yeah.
Wow. Let me ask you a question. How do you feel to hear your father or your grandfather, your mother, your grandmother was chained and dragged like animal? It's quite sad. Very, very sad. Very sad.
On the plantations where they were going to work, because of lack of food and water, a lot more of our ancestors perished right there. So I want us to have a minute of silence in the memories of all those who died. And after that, I will say, may their souls rest in perfect peace, and we all correspond by saying Ashe. So please, let's have a minute. May the spirits of our lost ancestors rest in perfect peace. Ashe. So once again, I welcome you by saying Akwaba to the Asimansum Slave Market in the Riverside. Before I go on, I would like to leave you with these three different quotes. One from Haile Selassie, and I quote, "An awareness of our past is essential to the establishment of our personalities and our identities as Africans." Marcus Mezar Garvey Jr. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. On this same continent, among the people of Benin, Togo, and Ghana, they have this popular saying that goes back until the tales of the hunt is told by the lions. The hunt will always glorify the hunters. For Africans as we are, our ancestors were raided from their own land and moved out of this country. But we as Africans, after slavery came to an end, didn't get to tell our side of the story. The story is being told to us by the same people who enslaved our ancestors. Have we been hearing what we needed to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery? No. They have always managed to keep us in the mental bubble. For us to come out of it, we need to visit our land. And that's the major where Haile Selassie had to come to encourage all Africans in the diaspora. You know what Peter Tosh once said? Don't matter where you are, but as long as you are a black person, you are an African. And so for our Africans in the diaspora who are actually going through stress of knowing themselves, you cannot know yourself out there. You need to come to the land to actually know or figure out who actually you are. So I welcome you once again to the Ancestral Slave Market, and then we talk about why you are here. Out of all the slave markets we have in Africa, Akosia Adoma Pebi, a renowned historian here in Ghana, documented in her book entitled History of the Indigenous Slavery in Ghana from the 15th century to the 19th century. We, or the continent, had several, but Ghana had close to 63 of the slave markets. We have Salaga, Sampa, Jenenu, Ketekrachi, Bonomanso. Then you come to Kumasi. Kumasi can't boast of having a slave market, but actually it was the middle or the central midpoint of all the slave market, and it linked them to the Ancestral slave market. Then further on, they went to the People Dungeon, Elmina, Fort Amsterdam, Fort Williams, all the way to the Christian Block Castle in Osu, Accra. There was once a British historian who traveled during the era of the slave trade. In his travel journal entitled The Short History of Gold Coast, he made mention that out of all the slave markets we have, and those that I've mentioned, two of them stands out. The Ancestral slave market and that of the Salaga slave market in the northern part of Ghana. He further on explained to us that for our ancestors in their chains and shackles to walk from there to get to this place, they had to cover a journey of over 300 miles. And it took them 70 days, 70 days, close to 3 months, to walk through the jungle to get to this place. While on the journey, they met the Mole National Park. They had to go through it so that they could be able to get to the southern part. They got there and the place was full of wild animals. For our ancestors to be moved freely through the park, several of them were being used as bait. The captors would now look among them in the chains and shackles. All the weaker captives were taken off and then tied to trees. They went ahead to give them multiple wounds. The blood that oozed out of them were sensed, and it got the animals attracted to where they were tied. While the animals were feeding on them, the rest were moved out of the park. They succeeded, but they lost life there. They met the river called the Pra River, full and very dangerous. For our ancestors, they were not much exposed to these huge and fast-flowing rivers. So they met the river, and then it became a matter of the survival of the fittest. For the men and women who were in that group with the expertise and knowledge to cross the river, they had to help their brothers and sisters out by carrying them on their shoulders. Swimming with somebody on their shoulder with heavy metals, it's a lot. So a lot of them drowned there and died. All those who died there were buried there just at the bank of the river. They got here eventually, but totally tired, hungry, and very, very full. It was here that they saw the need for them to be fed. But they weren't fed because they were hungry. They were fed because they had to toughen and fatten them up so that the buyers would come here and find them more attractive to buy. After that, they look among the men in the chains. All those with their head bushy were shaved off, and then they took them for a bath. We'll be going to the bath place. When we return, I'll tell you about the rest of the things. So please, let's walk towards the river. Very, very sensitive to touch. This was used by our ancestors back then in the days to actually try as much as possible.
So when you touch it,
it closes.
Please,
they want to try as much as possible to save their community. So they were relying on these plants to give them the needed the needed security. So these people were relying on this plant. And if I'm the only one here and I come out to see this plant close, it tells me that somebody has been. That was how they were using the plant so that the grass can be a cactus. So these plants here have been here for several centuries. Yes. Today we have the alarm system in our homes. Yes. Even though you are far, far, far away from your home, the phone, all you need is an internet connection. And you can have a view of what is going on in your house. Yeah. That's how our ancestors had to. And you know what? That particular security system was actually invented by an African American woman. So we are enjoying the knowledge even from the ancient days when our ancestors had to find ways to save their people. There are several other places that we are not aware of. For us, we were only reading books that were written by the people who enslaved our ancestors. Currently, we are discovering so many things, caves upon caves, relics to show that the ancestors were not that easygoing. They were actually rebelling against the act of slave trading. So those who were actually fighting against it relied on this plant. Others went to hide their people in caves, and the men, the warriors, would be at the entrance of it. Others went all the way to settle on top of mountains. Others went to settle on stilt, a whole community on the river. That's how they managed to overpower their captors. In Sandema and Nalerugu, they built a defense wall surrounding the entire community, mixed with several leaves and all other things, with the extent that when you shoot your gun, it doesn't go through the wall. They are all out there. We had individuals who also stood on their grounds to fight against the trade. Today, we are here. We have somebody like King Belubonsu II, Prince Asumeni, and some others. They also fought to save their people. So this plant is still here and telling a story. If it has a mouth to speak to us, maybe we will hear.
Yeah, the words.
Yes, the words. So please. Clean as this back then in the days when our ancestors were actually in their things and stuff. Today we have it and it's more cleaner, and we can feel comfortable walking through it without even thinking about being harmed by something. The ancestors walked through this path and it was very narrow. Whilst walking through, they were being scratched by plants and all other things. They stepped on deadly plants, they stepped on deadly insects and all that. Today, we are as strong as we think we are. But I always say that we are not as strong as our ancestors who actually walk here. I can't walk from Salad over 400 miles to get to this place within that 70 days. Yeah. I'll probably die on the way before getting here. But my ancestors, your ancestors, survived the journey and even more. Struggle through several things to survive. The understanding or the knowledge, the little knowledge we want our brothers and sisters to get from this is that they shouldn't go out there when they face problems, they give up. Then all of a sudden they bounce, they go sit back and say, oh, this is too difficult for me. Nope. It's not as difficult as what your ancestors went through. Yeah. So you should face it head on. When you hit the wall, you step back and then analyze it. You'll see a crack somewhere and then you can use that against the wall. That is what we want you to understand by bringing you here, for you to walk through the path. As we walk through this path, you just have to take it slow, meditate. It is always a reconnection method or ritual. Whenever you are here, you have to reconnect with the ancestors. So I always allow my people walk through here soundly. They relax their nerves, walk through as quiet as possible to try and connect with their ancestors. So that's what we are doing. ancestral slave riverside, where our ancestors finally took their last ever bath before they were branded, auctioned out, and then they were taken out of this place. Down there we have two different rivers. If you have to come closer to see the difference. At this point, we have two rivers flowing through the same side, and this particular point forms an estuary. So we have the Ochi River out there, and then we have the Donkonshu in the other lake. The Donkonshu has its source from this particular side. It flows all the way from the mountains, crossing the road to meet up with the Ochi. So when you look down there, you see the Ochi is turning away from the Donkonshu. The Donkonshu doesn't flow as much as the Ochi, but it has so much power to push it away. That was where our ancestors were taken to go take their bath. And in there, they were still in the chains and shackles with a metal round ball attached to the chains around their ankles to hold them still in there to stop them from escaping. They were never taken to the Ochi River because they fear they will escape through the flow. After they were there for a while, they were trying to take off the dirt from their body, but because their hands were tied, they couldn't use it to wash themselves. So they were rubbing themselves at each other. Doing so, the captors saw them and they thought they were consoling each other. So they separated them and they went ahead to use the bamboo leaves to scrub them. Doing so to them, using the bamboo leaves to wash them, caused them to get bruises all over their bodies. After that was done, they pulled them all out, lined them up, allowed their bodies to get dry. Once they got dried, they applied shea butter or palm oil on them for them to look more presentable and attractive for the buyers to come and pick them. Already when the buyers were coming, they have their branding tools, a metal forged with the initial of whoever is coming here to buy, with a long handle. They put that in fire, burn your stains with it to leave a mark to show that they belong to this particular person. It went on and on like that. The first branding was done here, and the subsequent ones were done at the castles. Those who were left in the chains, there were a lot of them left in the chains, and they classified them as useless commodities. Those people never saw the next daylight. They were shot right here. After killing them, they took their remains into the interior and dumped them into a pit. After that was done, they moved on to go raid more people to come back here to sell. It went on and on and on and on and on until slave trade came to an end or was abolished. So here is the ancestral slave riverside, and we have here painted black, named the last bath. This is here because of the role the path plays. We want this to be a message to all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. We want them to know that this is a dark color, and this here is not here because we wanted to paint it like that. We want people to know or hear the message is being sent to them. This signifies the darkest time in the history of Africa. And anytime you see this, it should ring a bell. Tell you that last bath, your ancestors taking their last bath. What a barbaric act. They took last and then they were taken to the dungeons. They never took any bath again until they got to the unknown world. Then we have the first bath of return. We also call it the Sankofa healing bath. Sankofa healing bath. When you return back home, what do? You need to cleanse yourself. That is where the healing is. So we do bring people here, they wash their hands, they wash their feet. And upon request, we prepare a concoction bath for you. That is more spiritual. We invite some other spiritual leaders of the community to come help so that they can connect you to the spirit of your ancestors. But for now, since you are here already, I'll allow you to go down there. If you can't dip your feet into the river, you wash your hands. And wherever you want to wash, it's your hair, your face, well, wash it. And as you are washing your hands, you need to be manifesting, meditating, and telling your ancestors so many things that you want them to do for you. Things that you need are guidance and protection. The top of the list. These two things. And then you go ahead to tell them what you so desire to but know that your wish is not their command. They know you, so you speak to them. They want you to hear you voice it out, but they will channel, or they will know who you should be and exactly what to hand over to you. So don't challenge them, just lay your request to them, and then whatever you request, when it is their will or when it is okay with them, they will grant you that. So for now, this is the request.
Was their last batch before they were taken to unknown world, unknown places. What a sad story. So sad. I love Africa. I'm proud to be African. I'm proud to be a black man. I'm proud to be born here, to be raised here. Africa is my continent. Ghana is my country. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud to be a black man. My message to all Africans: never give up in life. No matter what the situation, never give up in life. Stand, fight. At the end, you shall conquer. This is how they were chained. Mark They got the iron horse stop on their back. You can see the mark, how they were marking them to identify them, where they belong to. First, branding. They stick in this iron inside fire to get it hot. Tap on their back or their neck to mark them. So painful, so sad.
The ancestral graveyard, and it holds the remains of 3 different tombs or graves. We have here Madame Krista from Kingston, Jamaica, a former slave who was captured from the Akan community all the way to Jamaica. And upon arrival, she took it upon herself not to feed on anything being fed to them by the British. She embarked on a hunger strike, and out of that, she died. But before her death, she was taken through a series of treatments. One particular one was the chisel and hammer treatment. Because she refused to open her jaw, they had to do away with her teeth so they could create a way of feeding her. But the woman has already made up her mind to starve herself to death. So after they managed to feed her, she put her hands there and then bring everything out. She died in the process while starving herself, and then she was brought back home in 1998 as part of a project they call the Emancipation Celebration. This gentleman, Samuel Castle, came together with Krista through the back door of the door of no return into the castle to make it a door of return. When they flew them back home, they moved them by road until they got to a community called Anumabo. It's a renowned community known for its role it plays, or it played in the transatlantic slave trade. So when they got there, they used their denying them access, telling the elders that these people never left here via roads, nor were they even flew out of this place. They went through the Atlantic Ocean. So if you are bringing them back, take them through the same channel. And that was through the Atlantic Ocean, through the door of no return, into the castle and back here to be buried, so that their souls will connect, and then the door can be opened for the general public, all Africans in the diaspora, to come back home. So that's why we have the 2 of them. 31st of July 1998, they were buried here. The last one, the one we've covered, is the remains of our ancestors from Barbados. The Prime Minister of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Amomotley, decided to come back to honor the year of return. While she was there, she was thinking of what to do to make the journey so far. I assume their bones, all bones that were found on that particular land, was flew back home to be buried here. On the 11th of November 2019, this was brought to us to be buried here. We are yet to unveil it, that's why it's still covered. So it's a collection of the bones of our ancestors from Barbados. So this actually is going to bring us to the end of the tour.
Africa, we hope this thing will never happen again. It will never and ever happen again. Africa, we unite, we stand strong. Africa, we divide, we fail. It's about time Africa need to unite. It's about time Africa, the youth of Africa, need to rise and unite as one. Africa is a beautiful continent with a beautiful people and lovely continent. It's about time Africa need to unite and stand strong. It's about time Africa, the youth of Africa, need to rise, work hand in hand, work in supportive to raise Africa to the next level. Africa is a unique continent. God has blessed African continent with all the resources.